Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. First, we need to address the massive elephant in the room. You guys were not supposed to see that video that I posted. I hoped that you guys would never have to see that video, much less see it before its intended use. But yeah, that video, as I said in the fucking Esau the Rose text video that I had to put out, that video was made as a precautionary measure, in case, knock on wood, nothing happens, but, just in case the hypothetical scenario of anything happens, one of my favorite YouTubers, Ed Gould, died when he was 23, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Michael Brooks died young, Fred Hampton died young, it's not out of the realm of possibility that anything could happen, I had to reassure some people, because some people sent me messages thinking that meant something, but guys, no, that is not a reason why that video was made. No, not that reason. I ain't voluntarily leaving, I'm staying here till the end. But yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. Ellie even noticed that because someone in my Discord server literally said, I can't believe this is true. At Pluribus Unum, I'll miss you so much. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then after he said you're alive, I'm like, oh shit, oh wait, no! It's so fun. I can't even keep a straight face, so we're just gonna move on from that. I'll just say, yeah, pretty big screw up on my end. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We all know where this is going. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get right into the news. First, we're going to discuss the German election, because the German election just happened, and a lot of people were going online getting really, really happy about the German election results for some reason. The biggest reason why I guess people were actually somewhat happy is the fact that the AfD, the Alternative for Germany, lost. The current party breakdown for this chamber is 1 seat goes to the South Schleswig Voters Association, a really small political party that I didn't mention because it's again, it was just 1 seat. It's just a regional Danish Friesen minority party. Didn't really have any reason for me to mention it. The Christian Social Union with 44 seats, Die Linke with 64 seats, the Greens with 85 seats, the Social Democratic Party with 120 seats, the Alternative for Germany with 152 seats, and the Christian Democratic Union with 164 seats. And a lot of people were really happy because the AfD lost. The German people have rejected fascism so bad. And even when people were posting about it online, I was going to the comment section and be well, the only reason why the CDU beat, there are many reasons why this isn't really that good of an analysis. One, just the results weren't that far off. So CDU got 164 seats. The AfD got 152 seats. They weren't that far behind. And look, in the results for the party list, they were 2 points away from being the winners. And in the constituency one, they were only 5 points away from being the winners. That's not even ignoring the fact that the CDU got that last bump in support due to the fact that they just started shifting their policies to focus on AfD. They actually started shifting their immigration strategy to suck in AfD voters. And, of course, with these results coming in, a lot of people are noticing some things. For starters, one thing people were happy about was the fact that Die Linke wasn't electorally wiped out. Die Linke really seemed to, they had a last minute push that I didn't really talk about in my video about it, because I guess the last minute push happened literally right as I was either making the video or right before the vote came in. Literally, it was only after I made my German election video that the Die Linke started having this. Everybody started posting online about, Die Linke is getting a really good support. Die Linke. And it's because their secondary leader, Heidi, she was doing really well on TikTok and was really. And one of the big things that people point out about Die Linke and their somewhat good performance, especially in certain areas, but the one of the reasons why people were really noticing this is because Die Linke was the only party that didn't shift right during this election. the SPD and the Greens both shifted rightward a little bit. Like, the SPD literally just point blank just went to the right on immigration issues to try and see if they could somehow bounce back from their ever-growing failure, which they weren't. With almost universally the SPD kind of being seen as the big losers of the night, which they're not. I mean, they didn't do good. They lost to 86 seats, but biggest losers of the night were the Free Democratic Party, because they literally lost all of their seats, and technically so did the BSW, the Sarah Wagenknecht Party. Like, technically, because what she did was that she had some Delinque people leave their party to join her, and then she's like, aha, we're gonna do good, and then they failed. And apparently she's actually trying to claim foul in this election, surprisingly. But yeah, there's really not much interesting things to mention later, because like really at this point people are just like assuming like it's just gonna be a CDU, CSU, SPD alliance. Like, it's just another grand coalition, essentially. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that the Alternative for Germany will be an unofficial supply and confidence for the party, particularly if they focus on immigration issues. But this is a rather noticeable shift for the election, and I'm actually kind of curious to see how Delinque does, because apparently Delinque, like, there are going to be more elections in Germany coming up soon, but they're local elections, and they're going to see, like, how well they're going to do in those ones. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Speaking of things we have to wait and see about, there's actually something interesting that has been going on with Eurovision. You see, Spanish legislatures have actually pushed to try and ban Israel from competing in Eurovision. A petition is going around from a lot of, like, some left-wing parliamentarians in Spain, and one of the big things that they're trying to get is the European Broadcasting Corporation to ban Israel's entry because of one big problem that Israel has with Eurovision, especially in the most two recent Eurovisions. And this is actually where we're going to have to get into a little bit of how I kind of got involved in this thing. You see, on the website Our Campaigns, all I did was, when I saw the Eurovision thing has a contest page on there for some reason, so as a funny meme haha joke, I anti-endorsed Israel, where I basically like, anybody but Israel would be a good winner in this election, and a good winner in this, you know, I mean, I didn't really care, I don't really care about, like, Eurovision at all, but there was one person who actually got a little, like, tiffy with me and another user who also, like, anti-endorsed Israel, like, you know, made sure that, like, anybody but Israel wins, saying, like, guys, come on, Israel hasn't even picked the song they're gonna do, come on, yeah, come on, man, don't do that. And I point out the simple fact, like, hey, a country committing a genocide probably doesn't deserve to win a fucking, like, singing award, and like, yeah, but come on. And then he explicitly name-dropped the singer in the contest. Yuval Raphael is not the Israeli foreign minister, and it's kind of shitty to react negatively to her eating Golan last year because their nation's politically unpopular and they're representing a nation in an unrelated area. And here's the thing. You know what? That's somewhat fair. It's kind of fucky to, like, judge these two innocent people for the actions of the government. For all I know, maybe they could have went on the stage and said, I disagree with the nation of Israel, and I think that Palestine should be free. So I decided to look it up. Did they do that? No, not at all. In fact, quite the contrary. In looking up information on both of those singers, I learned some very fucky things about them, including the fact, like, the first thing that is very obvious, that I think a lot of people probably know, is that Yuval Raphael is a person who was attacked during October 7th. Like, they were part of the attack. Like, they were at the festival when the attack happened, and they escaped and fled. And now the Israeli government uses her message to basically toot the war horn. Like, she's been invited by Israel to the UN to say her story in order to push them committing their genocide in Gaza. And eating Golden, I learned the controversy about her, and it was like, yeah, she was, like, doing, like, the hissy fit, like, they're getting mad at me because I'm Israeli. And then it's like, it turns out that the reason why they were getting mad at her was because she was literally supposed to sing a song at Eurovision explicitly with a propagandistic message in support of Israel during their genocide in Gaza. The song was called October Rain, and then Eurovision told them, hey, your song is very explicitly politically motivated. You can't sing this song. So they basically just changed the lyrics so it would come off as very slightly less propagandistic. So it's just like, Oh, so like there is like perfectly legitimate, valid reasons to hate both of these singers and not want them to win? And this 100% proves the point that these Spanish parliamentarians are making in regards to Israel and this event and why they have every right to be banned from this event? Like, bro, I just did it for the funny meme, haha. But like, no, now I have legitimate reasons to like oppose this. Thank you for allowing me to do more research to become better informed into why this fucking sucks. Speaking of things that fucking suck, turns out that we learned the truth about why Hakeem Jeffries and the Democratic Party have been really, really stinky and stupid lately. You see, at first, most people were like, yeah, it's the fault of liberal ideology, which it is, but also, as it turns out, the DCCC has scored a massive amount of money from SpaceX lobbyists. In the month of January, the DCCC has raised a grand total of $2.5 million from the lobbying firm of SpaceX, coming right after Hakeem Jeffries literally ran to his corporate bot, like, owners, literally demanding, like, please forgive us for doing this. And it's like, this is why you guys are fucking joking, why everybody hates you. And then they also announced, like, oh yeah, the person who's going to give the anti-state, like, the person who's going to give the State of the Union address response from the Democrats is going to be Elisa Slotkin, who has literally voted for every single one of the Trump nominees since, well, not every single one, but like, she's basically just voted in line with Trump the entirety of the time that she's been in office. Like, this is why this party is a joke. Like, you can't even take a confrontational line in your response to the State of the Union address. Like, and this is another thing. Like, a lot of people are, like, genuinely somehow confused about this. Like, guys, you do know basically every single, like, this is the dumb thing. It's like, you do know that a bunch of, literally a bunch of, if not all of the, like, Democrats that just got elected, they're all just backing the line for Trump now? Like, you do realize this, right? Like, the Lake and Riley Act was, like, the first one where people were like, what? How did this happen? It's like, especially, this is so fucking confusing to me, especially. I know this isn't about Lisa, but, like, this is one thing I really just am super perplexed by. People, for some reason, were super confused that Ruben Gallego voted for the Lake and Riley Act when he literally voted for the Lake and Riley Act before he got nominated to be the senator. Like, before he got the nomination. Because Dems are still working in that fucking, like, bullshit 90s, like, aesthetic where they're like, we gotta reach across the aisle, It's, like, the same thing. Like, we have seen multiple, like, I have seen, like, Chris Murphy literally say multiple times, like I saw a fucking video in my feed multiple times about Chris Murphy being like, what we need to do is we need to turn the Democrats into a big tent party. It's like, what are you fucking talking about? You guys did that in 2024 and it failed. The problem is you keep building that right side of the tent. You're not building the left side of the tent at all. Like, and Dems think that, like, what they have to do is they need to do, like, they need to, like, shift to the middle. It's like, what does that mean, shift to the middle? Like you guys literally think that people like Trump and his supporters are, like, stupid, brain-dead idiots who don't know anything, and you're gonna say that, and then immediately go, yeah, but we gotta reach across the aisle for them. It's like, what are you talking about? And of course, like, the real reason why is because, again, like, Dems are so whipped by their fucking, like, corporate owners that it's just insane. It is ludicrous. Like, the GOP is too, yes, but they don't care. They will gladly lie to their voters, and their voters are fucking brain dead enough that they'll just fall for every single bullshit thing they say, or maybe not, depending on this next story. But Dem voters are smart, for the most part, and, you know, they're actually able to hear and listen and actually hold their candidates' feet to the fire, which is what Dems are also trying to do right now, because literally, like, the fucking, like, stupid fucking, like, bitch that used to be, like, the fucking, like, Biden's, like, whatever the fuck, I forget what she is. Her name's Jen? I forget her name. Jen Paskey, or whatever the fuck her name is. I don't even know what she fucking did, but, like, this random woman is just like, oh, like, the fact that after the Biden debate performance, they all turned their backs on him. I can't believe it. That's so disgraceful. It's like, the fact that you guys are too fucking brain dead to even acknowledge this is like, you all need to be removed from your office entirely. You all need to go. And the fact that, and Ken, I'm sorry, I'm turning on Ken. Fuck Ken Martin. If you're not gonna get these guys in shape, then you are just as bad as they are. Like, I mean, they keep posting these fucking, like, tweets, like, what the Democrats did this month, what the Democrats did this month. It's just a bunch of, like, random, like, thing. Like, we sent Trump a letter. It's like, what are you talking about? Do things. Do real things. You can't use fake virtue signaling forever. And the Trump party learned this the hard way because of a big thing that just happened. See, for those who don't know, one of Trump's biggest campaign promises, for some reason, that a lot of the Trump base really, really thought that he was going to do, was that he was going to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. This is why the conservatives are so stupid. Donald Trump was literally best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. I really don't understand why they... This is the thing. I don't get it. Like, conservatives are so radically anti-Jeffrey Epstein, but for some reason will vote for his fucking top customer. I don't get it. But a lot of them really seem to live in this fucking alternate reality where Trump is this massive, like, anti-Epstein guy, and he's going to release the Epstein documents. And this week, like, they were really pushing hard. Well, the week before the episode comes out, but, like, they kept, like, it seems that, like, Pam Bondi was literally, like, getting into a fight with Kash Patel, because here's what happened. You see, Pam Bondi seemed to actually want to release the Jeffrey Epstein documents. And then she asked Kash Patel, hey, give me the Jeffrey Epstein documents so I can release them. But Kash Patel kept saying, and then, when she never got the documents, she got like 200 documents. She got like 200 pages, and then she's like, wait, hold on. Is this all the pages? And he just didn't answer her. And then she kept accusing him of like withholding information. And then here's what happened next. They grabbed a bunch of like fucking like conservative fascist like content creators, like libs of TikTok and fucking Jack Posobiec. I am so fucking weirded out about the fact that Jack Posobiec is just like he's literally just a conservative commentator now. It's like, dude, he's a literal white supremacist, like unequivocally. The dude was like an open, avowed white supremacist, and now he's just like friends with Charlie Kirk, gets invited to the Republican National Convention. It's like, what? And then they did a photo op where they were like, and this is one thing that, like, they were doing a photo op where they like held up like a book that said Epstein documents. Like, they're like holding it, and they're like doing a little dance for some reason. And it's like, what? They're like smiling and giggling and like stuff. It's like, what, guys? You are holding documents about an alleged child sexual abuser. Why are you laughing and giggling? And then they started streaming it. And then, as it turns out, first, a guy, like when they were streaming it and like showing like the pictures and stuff, like, wait, hold on, a lot of this is redacted, huh? What? Because as Kash Patel was doing it, like he was hiding it, and then Pam Bondi also said, like, to an extent, like, oh, we gotta redact certain things to protect people. It's like, wait, hold on, I thought the whole point was like you're gonna release the documents in general, just like release them, and then for some reason the House Judiciary Post decided to post a tweet where they said the Jeffrey Epstein documents are fully out, and you click the link and they fucking rickrolled you. Like, it's like everybody's just like, what the fuck? And then, similar to a lot of the other things that happened in the Trump administration, like during this Trump administration, as it turns out, all the things that they were showing and they released are things that were already readily available. Like, literally. Apparently, every single thing that was in those binders were things that were already public information. Like, they literally did nothing, and then they were, like, expecting people to be like, yes. Like, they were expecting Trump voters to, like, fall for the stupid bullshit. But for some, like, this one, they were just like, no, what? Like, a bunch of, like, right-wing commentators and, like, people are just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? What in the actual fuck are you doing? And a lot of them even pointed out a fact that I've been saying, and everybody's pointed this out for years. Like, the reason why they're doing this is because, like, them doing all this really doesn't hide the fact that a lot of their people are on the fucking list. Like, here's my personal interpretation of why this is going on right now. And let me, and there's actually one more piece of evidence that I think can prove my claim. See, the reason why the House GOP is doing this, the reason why the Trump administration is doing this, and the reason why do not trust any of the fucking Epstein documents. Don't trust any of the documents that come out. Like, literally, I'm saying this right here, right now. Do not trust any of the document leaks that are going to come out of the Trump administration. At this point, they're not going to release the full information. They're not going to release the right information. They're going to change the information and redact it. Like, I don't believe anything. Like, when they say, like, we're going to release the Kennedy documents, I don't believe it. I think they're going to release documents that are fake. I think they're just going to make up Kennedy documents. I think they're going to make up documents about Martin Luther King Jr. when they release his information. I think they're going to do that. I think that's what they're going to do. Because the fact of the matter is, if they don't, then what's the point of all this? What is the point? Everybody is so convinced that those documents are going to hold like the key, the proof of their bullshit conspiracy theories, that literally anything else would just be a disappointment to their base. And with the Epstein documents, it's very obvious. Trump's not going to release a fucking Epstein document that has his name in the document. You really think that him and Kash Patel, a literal Trump loyalist, who would, I guarantee you, slit his own children's throat just to please Daddy Trump, you really think that guy is beyond fucking forgery of documents? And the reason why the House GOP is doing this right now is because they're doing this because they're like, Trump's gonna get away with it. Trump's gonna get away with the fact that he was an associate of Jeffrey Epstein. Like, he's gonna get away with the fact, if Trump did any bad things with Jeffrey Epstein, he's gonna get away with it. And one more thing that pieces it together for me is this. Like, right as all this is going down, the Tate brothers are now going into Florida. Like, they've just been flown into Florida because Trump got the Romanian government to literally allow them to come to America to escape their persecution for child sex trafficking. Donald Trump is going to publicly exonerate himself from the Epstein stuff. He's gonna claim that he's exonerated from being associated with Epstein, and then is gonna go right to the Tate brothers for more. That's what's gonna happen. Andrew Tate literally said that he is in contact with Barron Trump and that he is going to be visiting the White House soon. That is like super fucking obvious. And that's the thing with Trump and this administration. It's just so blatantly corrupt. They're just going to blatantly just do all their crimes because everybody was so fucking limp dick and did nothing about any of his crimes for the past 4 years. But let's move on to this next story. This is another story that is going to be, it's interesting, but, you know, I have some things to say about it too. It's not one that a lot of people talk about, I don't think. Okay, so remember Jamaal Bowman? One of the members of Congress that was kicked out of the fucking, like he was kicked out of Congress because of AIPAC. Well, he's announced, like, he's back. Like, there are a couple of things that he's back about. Like, one, he's going to be launching a show with Cory Bush on Zateo. But he's also announced that he is going to be creating a super PAC called Built to Win, which has goals of boosting left-wing candidates in tight elections, with his specific target being non-white voters who allegedly seem to have a problem with traditional, like, Democratic PACs, stating we cannot only engage in organizing during the election cycle, we have to engage in organization consistently throughout the year so people know that we're not just there for their vote. We are there to support them, to empower them in any way they can. And I mean, his, like, intentions are obviously good, you know, universal health care, affordable housing, good jobs and living wages, climate justice, fully funded public schools, more foreign policy, comprehensive immigration reform, end to mass incarceration, things that they're up against, big money in politics, lots of misinformation, hate and oppression, and unjust foreign policy. You know, it's all well and good, but there's just one thing that kind of bothers me. And it's the fact that it's a super PAC. Like, it's the fact that it's a super PAC. Like, a super PAC, like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, Bernie Sanders rallied really hard against super PACs when he ran for office. And, well, super PACs have a lot more power with, like, they don't have to report every single dollar that they have. They don't have to, like, directly connect with every single candidate. They don't really have to be as transparent. And as Bowman stated in the article, he's already received commitments, quote, in the millions from some people interested in backing a super PAC. That just, I don't know. That just seems, especially considering the subject of this video. It seems like it gets a little bit of a little click is going on in my brain that I'm just like, I'm not sure. And this is, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see how this PAC goes, but just a little on edge about it. With that out of the way, let us move on to the main topic of this video. But before we get into that, I think this flag isn't really that useful for this episode. Let's change that. Ta-da! You may be wondering what the heck this flag is. I've used it a couple of times in my piracy good or bad video. I've used it. I kind of just used it in like a lot of my copyright videos in general, even though I don't think it really relates that much to copyright. See, this flag is what is known as the free speech flag, a flag that was created after the website Dig would receive multiple cease and desist letters for publishing the AACS encryption key, which allowed you to bypass protections on HD DVDs and Blu-rays. So to circumvent it, and to protest the fact that the number in and of itself became an intellectual property, they decided to take the AACS encryption key and make a flag using the digits as a hex code. So technically, they weren't publishing the key, they were just publishing a cool, colorful flag. And that's the same exact excuse I'm going to use, because, you know, it's just a cool, interesting flag. This flag looks kind of cool. Also, I'm just going to be blunt and just say, I did check right beforehand, like, do they still use this encryption key? And I haven't really found any information that says that they do or do not. And I've gotten contradictory results, but I'm going to be 100% honest. If the media industry still uses this specific encryption key, then it's fucking stupid. I haven't said it. I'm not going to say what the encryption key is. You can find it for yourself. It's not like it's hidden. It's not hidden. But if they're using the exact same encryption key that's been public knowledge since 2007, it's just like, that's kind of your fault, really. And I know what some of you might be saying. Another episode about copyright, dude? Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep talking about this? Why do you keep talking about, like, why don't you talk about important issues? Well, first of all, I think this is an important issue. But also, this issue is so important that this entire week is actually dedicated to copyright-related episodes, because this is going to be the podcast, and Thursday's video is also going to be a video about copyright. So we actually have some theming. The reason being that when I was writing that episode, I kind of realized after I finished writing it and recorded it, and was gonna record it, I was like, but like, this episode is kind of more just me breaking down the copyright system as it is, not necessarily me giving solutions for the issues. Not because I don't have solutions to the problem, but rather because I kind of wanted to frame the argument in a different way, because I see a lot of people framing the copyright argument in a very not so good way, kind of showing they don't really know a lot about the issue of copyright in general. They just kind of like a general baseline understanding of the issue, kind of more like I see a lot of people like arguing like we need to reform the copyright system, or it's the YouTube specific copyright system that's bad. And well, I mean, for a while, that's just kind of a sentiment that a lot of people online have. Like, they're like, yeah, we need some copyright reforms, or yeah, YouTube's copyright system is bullshit. But I really think after doing a lot more research on the issue of copyright in general, seeing a lot of the examples that you're going to see in Thursday's video and, other things, I'm just really starting to be like, hold on. Maybe just this in general just doesn't work. Another reason why I'm making a new podcast about copyright, or rather in the title, you'll see that it doesn't say the word copyright in it. We'll get to that. But one of the reasons why I'm making that is not necessarily the older video is not necessarily that out of date, but I do think that it does need I have gotten significantly more radicalized on the issue of copyright ever since that video came out. But that first podcast actually is good in the sense that it gives you an understanding of kind of where I got in, how did I get so interested in the issue of copyright. Feel free to watch that one if you haven't already. It's kind of old, so it's not the best, but it is one of my best podcasts, I would argue. But TLDR, I learned about the concept of copyright when it was poorly explained to me when I was 6 years old. As I got older, I got into some cringy internet hyperfixations that had a lot of issues with so-called copyright infringement, stuff like YouTube poops, internet reviewers, etc., which led me to become vaguely in favor of copyright reform, even to the point of giving the Pirate Party some of my attention. As I did more research, I fell off the deep end. Now what's funny is that I would argue that I'm actually significantly more radicalized on the issue than I have ever been, and yet somehow I am now, like, anti-pirate party, even though back in the older days, I wasn't nearly that radicalized. Like, I was less radical on the issue than the pirate party was, but now I'm at the point where I think the pirate party is too moderate. Especially considering one cringe element that I need to understand is the problem is, like, they just don't get one major problem. Feel free to check out my pirate party podcast when, you know, again, after, you can do it after, before, I don't really care. Similar to my Green Party phase or maybe my New Atheist phase, you know, back when I first got involved or even started looking at those movements, I was significantly less radical than those movements, but I was still super on board with those movements. But then as I got older and got significantly more radicalized on those issues, somehow those movements just didn't really seem to fit me anymore. Like, I mean, I literally looked at the Green Party and said, they're cool when I was a social democrat, and I looked at the New Atheist movement and I'm like, well, I mean, atheism's kind of cool, but now I'm like a little at the point of like, yeah, anti-theism, cool, based, red-pilled. And now I see the Green Party as a bunch of like libs, like loser libs. Like, I mean, I guess I'm just not into grifting groups and prefer to actually focus on like the issues and whatever. But I think the first thing that got me to kind of like start reconsidering like copyright reform versus something broader was when I was doing research for my 4-hour video essay on the segment regarding the Stop Internet Piracy Act, or SOPA. Like most people on the internet, I was like generally in favor of like, you know, fuck SOPA, but I didn't really understand the full ins and outs of SOPA. But now I'm at the point where I actually know, and I'm like, wait, hold on, this is actually like, wow, this is way worse than I thought it was. Go watch that video if you haven't. I guess I might as well just suggest the fucking copyright playlist. Don't worry about the 4-hour video essay. It has time code, so you can just skip to the SOPA part. Or maybe if you want, I could just post the fucking like segment alone and post it like there if you want. I don't know. You let me know if you guys want that. And that specific thing kind of also made me kind of get to the point where I'm very lenient on the act of piracy. Like, I mean, I wasn't necessarily like an anti-piracy guy that much to begin with. I mean, can everybody in this audience, like, there are 2,000 of you guys in the comments. Well, you guys were there for the comments that one time, but that's different. But like, can you all say for 100% certainty that every single thing that you've watched, read, played, you've done it 100% legally? Official release, nothing more? You didn't see you didn't see it uploaded on YouTube? You didn't see it posted anywhere else? You didn't see it on any of that stuff? You didn't watch the fucking Nostalgia Critic and then piece the movie together from that? But since that act was going to make the act of piracy like be seen as like super broad, that it's just like, it's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not like a super like anti-piracy guy when I'm just like, dude, they literally tried to use piracy to try and like literally censor the entire internet. But then I'll see people go in the comment section and be like, well, but like, come on. I mean, like, come on. But like actual piracy. Like, I mean, maybe not like things that they label piracy, but like maybe like actual piracy. I'll be like, really? I mean, like I see this as kind of like where like conservatives say, well, I mean, come on. But like, if you're like 39 weeks in, I mean, come on. I think in that case, it's okay to like not be okay with abortion. It's like, and then, or like when they go like, but I mean, come on. I mean, like, if a person like just if a person that was assigned male at birth just puts on a bow in their hair and, you know, wants to compete in the girls, come on, you'd be okay like removing them from that route. It's like, no, I'm not going to engage with that. Because I think I see all those arguments as like, but I mean, come on, this particular is a piracy. You're like, are you okay with that? No, I don't care. I see it as like, give an inch, take a mile. If you're okay with it in that regard, then all of a sudden it's like, but like the ever so changing, like as the cartoon transphobic rabbits say, copying is not theft. Stealing a thing means one less left. Copying it makes one thing more. Go watch that video where I say a lot of I make the case, like, the good versus bad on piracy. There are a lot of things in there that are pretty banging, like, points, like media preservation, and, like, especially when you take into consideration, like, if we were to go by the copyright law as they were, a lot of shit would just be in the public domain now. The system has been used and abused to keep the rich corporate billionaires in, like, charge. Like the rest of our capitalist society. Like, literally, the fucking birthday song was in a massive amount of legal limbo for years, where Warner Chappelle claimed that they owned the copyright of the song and had collected $14 million in licensing fees. Keep in mind, a single-use fee was $700. So congratulations to the 20,000 people who are legally allowed to use the fucking birthday song. You know why every single fucking restaurant has their own fucking birthday jingle? That's why. because Warner Chappelle claimed a copyright that was not theirs. But since we hold the magic piece of paper to like such a massive high degree, we all are just like, well, okay. Like, yeah, this song written in the 1800s, yeah, they own the copyright to that. It's like, but wait, every single work made before 1912 is literally public domain. Doesn't matter. They say they own the copyright. It's like, wait, are we not going to even check? No, we're not going to check. They have that right. It's fine. It wasn't until 2015 that they literally fucking realized, oh wait, this song from 1893 is in the public domain. It's like, what? There are tons of examples I could use. A lot of those will be in Thursday's videos where the copyright system is just used in a fucking like bullshit way. And this is the thing that you learn about it. It's like, I mean, when it happens like once or twice, you know, it's like, yeah, that's kind of like the outlier. But like, then when you see it happening multiple fucking times, you realize, wait a second, hold on. Something's not right. If this is happening too many times to count, then it's like, there is literally a fucking term for that. Copy fraud. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. And you know, I actually started learning about copyright itself, like literally actual just copyright, and started going like, hold on, let's look at this. Like, maybe there's something in here that I'm missing. Maybe it's just like they're just getting it wrong. But it's like, no. As I looked into it, it's like, no, this is just how the system is. Like, I'm not kidding. I literally bought a book online, like an audio book online, and just listened to it. And so I like copyright, and it's literally just like, it's just literally explaining just the system as it is, as it's working. The system as it's working. It's literally just explaining what it is. This isn't a bastardization. This is just the system working as it is intended. And the problem is a lot of people just don't see this. They don't understand this for some reason. And they just want to shift the blame. Like, oh, well, it would work fine if it wasn't for, like, these guys. Even going so far as to, like, for some reason, not blaming the copyright system itself, but somehow blaming just one specific people's copyright thing. Like literally. There's a fucking video that I watched very recently that is like, I believe this for a while, but like, there was one video that I saw that I absolutely just like, I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy gets it, oh my gosh. It was a Tom Scott video, simply titled, YouTube's copyright system isn't broken, the world's is. And I'm sitting there just like, yes, all these people who bullshit about the YouTube copyright system, they don't understand fucking anything. The YouTube is protecting you. The DMCA claims are literally protections. That's them going easy on you. That's also them literally following the fucking law, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA. And Tom Scott goes over this, like, yeah, this is literally the system as it's working. I'm like, yes. And it's another thing where I see, this is another thing, it's going to be a little bit expanded upon in the next video, and another thing that really radicalized me on this issue is just seeing this lame-ass excuse. I'm seeing this lame-ass fucking excuse for a lot of people. There are a lot of people, every time they make a video, whenever it's like a movie review or a reaction video or whatever, a lot of them like to do this, where at the beginning of the video, they say, under the 1976 Copyright Act, the fair use is a blah, like they go and explain the concept of fair use, and they're like, that's why this video is okay. But I'm sitting there just like, does your videos fall under fair use? And the reason why they say this is because Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, claimed that his videos fall under fair use, and now everybody uses it as a get out of jail free card. But I'm sitting there just like, guys, dude, listen. You are sitting here watching an entire episode, nay, an entire fucking season of a TV show and posting it to your YouTube channel. That's not fair use. Dude, just be upfront about it and be on board with like radical reforms of the copyright movement if that's what you want. But like, dude, stop just being like a tiny baby, like be like, fair use. Come on, dude, just be upfront, dude. Be upfront with what you really are. My videos fall under fair use. My videos are way more fair use than that. And I even name dropped him, but like, I'm not even go so far as to say that he doesn't have fair use claims either. Because I actually know the rules of fair use. Because, guys, fair use has rules, has explicit rules. You do know this, right? And 4 of them are very blunt. keep that in mind before you guys start making claims of fair use, especially rule number 1. Rule number 1 is the one that's going to be the most primary factor for a lot of you guys. This is not the copyright system being bastardized to become this. This is how it's built to be. In order for this exact system to have different outcomes, we need to radically change our society. But a better way to do it would just be to radically change the system. Like, literally, we all understand how fucked up this is, but a lot of people literally approach it with, like, the literal basic baby analysis, even among the copyright reform movement. Because, I'll even be blunt and just say it, like many of the problems of the world, it's capitalism. Like, I make this claim. Like, it's why I can't stand the fucking Pirate Party. They just go like, oh, well, we could somehow address the copyright problem without even needing to address the capitalism problem. You can't. They're intrinsically linked. Truly, if you want to do copyright reform, you would need to be anti-capitalist to an extent. But, I'm not even going to say, like, oh, if you're anti-capitalist, you are going to be automatically on board with the copyright reform movement, because for some reason, a lot of you guys aren't even in favor of that either. A lot of you guys even have, like, baby reforms. A lot of you guys will just say baby reforms, like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, come on. And it's very obvious why it's a problem with capitalism. Copyright isn't intellectual property, and capitalism is the protection of private property rights. As we've seen with the Sonny Bono Act and SOPA, capital will do anything to protect the rights to its private property. Meanwhile, the freedoms we believe in are being lost in the process. The freedom of information, the freedom of culture, the rights to create new and interesting stories based on characters that we love. Most people either do not see the need to fix the system itself, or fail to understand how copyright and capitalism intersect, and they think they can fix one without the other. But learning about the problems, because that's the first thing. All this has been me saying, learning about the problems. That was step 1. Now let's move on to step 2. What's the solutions? Well, the solutions are pretty obvious. And it's been staring you guys at the beginning since the very beginning of this episode. Let's talk about the Copyleft movement. The Copyleft movement is a movement to reject the restrictive nature of the current copyright law based on the concept of 4 principles. Principle 0, the freedom to use the work. Principle 1, the freedom to study the work. Principle 2, the study to copy, share the work with others. And principle 3, the freedom to modify the work and the freedom to distribute modified and therefore derivative works. While these were originally associated with the free software movement, a lot of this kind of starts with literally with the internet. A lot of this stuff really kind of begins with the internet age, with literally the creation of software, because that was like the intellectual property that really was like so far removed out there. Back in the olden days, you had a book, you had a DVD, you had a whatever. But now we're getting to the point where literally it's just digital files that people can't really claim as their own. But those principles have been expanded on a lot, especially in the wake of the Sonny Bono Act and its ensuing legal battles. And ultimately, in 2001, the creation of an organization called Creative Commons became sort of the de facto new leader of the Copyleft movement, founded by legal scholar Lawrence Lessig. Now, I knew of both Creative Commons and Larry Lessig prior, but not really a lot of the ins and outs. I kind of knew about, the Copyleft movement were things I would probably like click on a Wikipedia article and then like disappear and then like immediately move on to the next thing because I didn't really get it. Like I knew of the fact that Larry Lessig ran for president in 2016 on the issue of campaign finance reform and that he founded Creative Commons. And I knew that there are some people that would label their videos Creative Commons. Like you could label yourself Creative Commons. Like, I mean, at one point I clicked the YouTube button where it's like the standard YouTube license and then the option of like Creative Commons to be there. Like, you know, you could do that. I even had an old associate who would label his videos Creative Commons. And I understood that kind of meant like a little bit less restrictive on copyright or something. I didn't really understand maybe he explained it to me and I just didn't know. I just didn't pay attention to it. But it really wasn't until I started doing research into the piracy video that I actually looked into a lot of the differences. Because like what I had to do is I had to actually like I had to actually find out to the standard YouTube license, because I was going to mention at one point where it's like, oh yeah, Hassan Piker did commit piracy against me, and I'm still going to make this video where I basically I basically just, again, all I say in the video is I just label the goods and bads in regards to piracy. That's all I did in the video. That's all I did. And then after a lot of research into Creative Commons, it was basically just like, it hit me like a freight train. Like, oh yeah, This is just basically what I believe. This is literally just what I believe. Like, all the things that I kind of already believed, kind of like fixed and contextualized. And the slight parts that I didn't quite understand, Larry Lessig was able to explain to me. Not in person, but through his like TED Talks and stuff. Like, I was able to like see some of this stuff and like, oh wait, hold on. Like, if I couldn't get it from the wiki page, I could be like, wait, hold on. Hold on. Wait, this makes sense. Yes. And now I'm basically a simp for Creative Commons. Boy, I guess I was born in the wrong generation because I didn't get to live the Creative Commons when they were like up in the air, when they were like starting out, when they were like top shit, apparently. I'm learning about all this shit now, and this shit was relevant like 2007. I'm like, man, I was born in the wrong generation. But one sad thing I learned is that for some reason, I'm the only left-winger that is a simp for Creative Commons. I don't get why. A lot of lefties even go so far as to make complaints to the copyright system. Like, guys, Creative Commons fixes all your problems. I guess I should explain a little bit more. Creative Commons is an organization that allows you the ability to license your works with, quote, some rights reserved, that allows more freedom than the average copyright does because it does not allow all of them, because you reserve all the rights, as a way to free our culture from the restrictions of the current copyright system. There are 6 different licenses that are offered on the site based on 4 allowances for your work. Attribution, meaning that the work must be credited to the original author, which is mandatory for Creative Commons. They mention that it's mandatory, but it's like, ever since whatever, it was mandatory. But like, was there any point where it wasn't mandatory? I don't think so. But like, regardless, it's mandatory. Share alike, which means whether or not your work must also be labeled Creative Commons. Non-commercial, you put this on if you only want remixes of it to be made for non-commercial purposes. And no derivatives, which means that your work can be shared freely, but you cannot remix it or make derivative works. And the second I was looking into it, I was immediately on board. Like, I was literally just like, yes. I mean, I was even going to go so one step further. My plan was when the copyright episode would be released, I was going to make a big show and be like, guys, like, I was going to make a point where I was going to say, like, I was going to bring up all the criticisms of my copyright system, and then people would be like, but what about you? You're blah, blah, blah. And, like, I'd be like, starting today, I will officially create all of my work as Creative Commons. But I decided instead to make that big showy thing a YouTube post, like a YouTube, like, community post a little bit later, like, I mean, a lot earlier, because I didn't know when the copyright episode was going to come out, because it's just like, why the fuck am I waiting? I would have made all my work Creative Commons, which I did to an extent, but unfortunately, I can't put it on 13 of my videos because they already have copyright claims on them already. And as per YouTube rules, if it already is copyright claimed, I can't claim Creative Commons. Choosing the license was slightly difficult for me, but I kind of very obviously, like, was able to, like, make it, like figure out a way to make it work by labeling it CC BY-SA, as in Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike, meaning that as long as I am attributed and you also put your work under Creative Commons, I don't really care. Technically, according to the YouTube license, it's just CC BY, but principally, like, I'm principally under the idea that it should be share alike, just because I think it's kind of fucking, like, stupid to, like, take a Creative Commons work and then not make Creative Commons. Like, literally, it's just like, if you're like, what? Like, I just think it's kind of stupid. I debated classifying it under, like, non-commercial as well, but that's way too restrictive on my principles of free culture. I'm really, like, I mean, like, Larry Lessig was able to explain shit to me that I'm just like, yes, cool, yes, spaced. It was actually really fucking cool just to see Larry Lessig on a TED Talk stage in, like, the early 2010s or, like, the late 2000s, and he's giving a speech to all these people, and he literally just gets the internet. It's like, why of all people would Larry Lessig get the internet? He wasn't old, but he wasn't like a young man, but he got the internet, and he got the younger generation so well. He literally got on that stage and literally to a bunch of people showed them anime music videos and told people about their artistic value. For those who don't know, anime, like AMVs are anime music videos, which where you take an anime and you put a song over it that basically just remixes it and just makes like a funny like thing. In my experience, every single time it would be Evanescence's Bring Me to Life. That would be the video, that would be the thing that would be done. But it's just like seeing that just makes me really go like, yes. Oh my goodness, this guy is spitting straight facts. Like, I mean, I really recommend listening to Larry Lessig talk. I sound like a fucking, like, religious now talking about it, but, like, dude, I'm serious. This man gets no credit, dude. Which he should, considering his work is under a CC BY attribution license. Like, I mean, I even say this when I even also acknowledge the fact that I am significantly more radical than Larry Lessig is. Like, during one of his TED Talks, he literally explicitly just says, like, to be clear, guys, I 100% denounce piracy. Which, good for you, Larry. Meanwhile, I see its merits in regards to the mission of free culture and free information. If the media company chooses to restrict media that people are willing to pay money to see, and then those people who would have paid to see it decide, you know what, if you're not going to do that, I'm just going to go watch it for free. Can you really blame them? I also just don't generally believe the idea of like culture should belong to those who have the money to pay for it. But then again, that's also kind of because, you know, he's is he a capitalist? I think he is. He's like a progressive Dem for the most part. I'm a socialist, so clearly there's clearly going to be a bit of a divide. Another person who saw this sort of like thing in regards to like Lessig is one of his proteges, his primary protege, Aaron Swartz, a long-standing activist in online and progressive causes, a partial founder of Creative Commons, RSS, RDF Site Summary, or Really Simple Syndication, the PCCC, Reddit, among other endeavors. Swartz was similarly younger than Lessig, and of course, that led to him being significantly more radical than Larry was. And unfortunately, it seems that his radical activism led to his life being lost way too soon, as he was criminally persecuted for downloading articles from JSTOR, a publication that was supposed to go to, like, university students, despite the fact that JSTOR explicitly stated they were not going to press charges. And the university that he was working with at the time, MIT, also said that they really weren't going to press charges on him. But then a stupid fucking cunt named Carmen Ortiz decided, yeah, I'm going to do it anyways. Because literally what recently happened was the Chelsea Manning case, so they wanted to make a case for Aaron Swartz. Like, they're like, oh yeah, fuck Aaron Swartz. They were gonna like get him. Like, they wanted to get him, make him into, since they were already persecuting Manning, they were like, we just want to persecute more people who want to spread free information. To Aaron Swartz. Like, dude, his crime was literally downloading fucking documents online. Like, not even like sensitive documents. Documents that were copyrighted. And she basically threatened him with financial ruin for the criminal case. He would have to pay basically all of his money to get out of the criminal case. And like, he was threatened with like 35 years in jail. All of his money was being drained away for the case. Dude, his fucking parents were going to refinance their house to pay for Aaron Swartz's legal case. Remember, a legal case that wasn't even being pursued by the people who are wronged. Quote unquote, wronged. But just because that goddamn fucking stupid, useless cunt, Carmen Ortiz, was like, I want to make an example out of him. And guess what? Aaron Swartz fucking killed himself because of it. She has his blood on her hands. Literally the day after it happened, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna drop the charges out. It's like, you fucking think? Like, the fact that she has a fucking career is just fucking ludicrous. The fact that she literally pisses me off so fucking much. The fact that people like this are just gonna get away with it is just insane. Aaron Swartz literally did nothing fucking wrong. I only started learning about him this year, and already I'm like, yes, Aaron Swartz did nothing wrong. He was a saint, a hero, a valiant leader in the movement. And to honor him, I'm going to read you his entire Guerrilla Open Access Manifesto. Right here. Don't worry, it's not that long, but it's long enough that, you get the message. And you kind of also will start to see, like, hold on. Like, either he'll be able to convince you, or you'll at the very least see where I'm coming from. Information is power. But like all power, there are those who want to keep it for themselves. The world's entire scientific and cultural heritage, published over centuries in books and journals, is increasingly being digitized and locked up by a handful of private corporations. Want to read the papers featuring the most famous results of sciences? You'll need to send an enormous amount to publishers like Reed Elviser. There are those struggling to change this. The open access movement has fought valiantly to ensure that scientists do not sign their copyrights away, but instead ensure their work is published on the internet, under terms that allow anybody to access it. But even under the best scenarios, their work will only apply to things published in the future. Everything up to now will have been lost. That is too high a price to pay. Forcing academics to pay money to read the work of their colleagues, scanning entire libraries but only allowing the folks at Google to read them, providing scientific articles to those elite universities in the first world but not to the children in the global south. It's outrageous and unacceptable. I agree, many say, but what can we do? The companies hold the copyrights. They make enormous amounts of money by charging for access, and it's perfectly legal. There's nothing we can do to stop them. But there is something we can, something that's already being done. We can fight back. Those with access to those resources, students, librarians, scientists, you have been given a privilege. You get to feed at the banquet of knowledge while the rest of the world is locked out. But you need not, indeed, morally you cannot, keep this privilege to yourselves. You have a duty to share it with the world. And you have, trading passwords with colleagues, filling download requests for friends. Meanwhile, those who have been locked out are not standing idly by. You have been sneaking through holes and climbing over fences, liberating the information locked up by the publishers, and sharing them with your friends. But all of this action goes on in the dark, hidden underground. It is called stealing or piracy, as if sharing a wealth of knowledge were the moral equivalent of plundering a ship and murdering its crew. But sharing isn't immoral, it's a moral imperative. Only those blinded by greed would refuse to let a friend make a copy. Large corporations, of course, are blinded by greed. The laws under which they operate require it. Their shareholders would revolt at anything less, and the politicians they have bought off back them, passing laws giving them the exclusive power to decide who can make copies. There is no justice in following unjust laws. It's time to come out into the light and, in the grand tradition of civil disobedience, declare our opposition to this private theft of public culture. We need to take information wherever it is stored, make our copies, share them with the world. We need to take stuff that's out of copyright and add it to the archive. We need to buy secret databases and put them on the web. We need to download scientific journals and upload them to the file sharing networks. We need to fight for guerrilla open access. With enough of us around the world, we'll not just send a strong message opposing the privatization of knowledge, we'll make it a thing of the past. Will you join us? Aaron Swartz, 2008. Fucking based. Fucking amazing. Literally, just hits the nail on the head right there. Why does information need to be held behind the walls of money and greed? Why does media, why does our art, our culture, be hidden behind this paywall? Why? And why do they get to why do they, the corporate elite that hold the copyrights as they are right now, why do they get to dictate the rules? We're the consumers of the media. Why don't we dictate the rules? And that's one of the actual beautiful things about the internet. The internet has not given a shit about fucking copyright for years. I don't see why they have to worry about it now. The reason why they're worrying about it now is because the internet's become corporatized now. Back in the olden days, literally there are people who literally talk about, like, in the 90s where, like, they try to get a DMCA claim and then they like would on the internet would literally just post entire fucking movies, just be like, yeah, fuck you, we're not gonna do that. And a lot of the internet's like things that they do, a lot of the stuff that is popular on the internet literally is based on fucking like quote unquote copyright infringement and like remixing and making derivative works of pre-existing stuff. One of the things that Lessig talks about a lot with remix culture, also known as read-write culture, where basically the idea is that the culture like basically like makes derivative work, like where the idea is like we live in a culture where it's like, it encourages not only, you read and then you write. Like, it literally, like, you are, it's hard to explain a little bit. Lessig probably explains it better than I can, but, like, again, like, it encourages remixes. It encourages remaking things. And that's a lot of the big things about the internet. A lot of it is remaking, remixing, redoing. Newgrounds animations were very prominent for the fact that they just stole anime soundtracks for the cartoon. Look, I mean, literally, that's a fact. I listened to the Sleepy Cast, and they literally talked about how a lot of, like, fucking, like, online animators just decided, like, yeah, we're just gonna steal an anime soundtrack, because, like, who cares? A tiny, like, Newgrounds animation is not going to determine, it's not gonna ruin the fact that you can just listen to that anime soundtrack on the anime. Internet reviewers, or critics, or whatever, take clips from the movies and games and basically recap the stuff to make new and interesting things sometimes. You know, I can't use Nostalgic because he's going to be the example I'm going to use on Thursday. So, Angry Video Game Nerd, he plays the game and just, like, commentates on it. It basically just recaps the game as he plays it. And just, like, you could argue that takes away like you could agree, you could say that it takes away some aspects of, like, you know, he's spoiling a game for you that you could play for yourself, hypothetically, you know, if they sold the game multiple times all over again. But he also makes different new things. Like, he makes jokes, he makes criticisms, and he uses the video format to make new things, which he sometimes also uses with remixing popular cultures and intellectual property. One of his main antagonists is Bugs Bunny. He literally just stole that from Warner Brothers. Like, he stole their intellectual property. But no one's going to sit there and be like, yeah, this is infringement of... Like, nobody's going to sit there and actually say that infringes on the copyright, because it's just like, we understand that's not the case. On the internet, we have this popular thing, fan fictions, which are used for taking intellectual properties and putting them in different stories. I wouldn't know anything about that concept. No. YouTube poops take movies and shows that will remix them and make entirely new stories. Literally, there'll be a guy who will make a SpongeBob YouTube poop where he'll take a video of SpongeBob from Band Geeks and will tell an entirely different story from it. And it's not even just, like, you know, just making jokes. Like, sometimes they literally craft an entire new story through remixing a fucking SpongeBob episode. One of the popular online trends for memes back in the olden days were Sparta remixes. We're literally stealing clips from the movie 300. In fact, on that note, every single meme is copyright infringement. Guys, think about it. Every single fucking meme is based on a currently existing intellectual property. That is a fact. And you have shared memes, GIFs, over and over and over again. Every single meme and GIF that you have shared, that can be considered copyright infringement. You're using IP without their permission. There are Let's Plays that play entire video games and provide some commentary about the game. There are gaming walkthroughs that literally just post the fucking game online and don't provide anything transformative with it. Reaction channels watch TV shows, movies, or whatever, and then, like, edit and make them, like, derivative to an extent. And TikTok even newest app, TikTok, literally gives you the feature where you can stitch TikToks together, being derivative. You can derive from the previous one by just taking the audio, or you can derive from it by literally stitching your TikTok to theirs. Remix culture is intrinsically linked to the internet. So, in my mind, like, arguing against, like, the stuff the Creative Commons or Larry Lessig or even the Copyleft movement in general it's like, that kind of sounds like you're arguing against what the internet itself is and stands for. But a question you might be wondering is, why is remix culture so prominent online? The reason's very simple. Because remix culture is prominent in general. Remix culture has existed long before the internet has, and it will exist long after the internet dies. You've heard that saying, there is no original idea that has been made. There is no more originality. Originality is dead. Originality is a liberal myth. It's not true. No 100% original idea exists ever. We all take inspiration from what precedes us. Not just in the artistic sphere, but we'll get back to the artistic sphere in a second, but in a lot of other spheres. Like, for example, as much as I could make good claims like, oh, well, I did research and I came to my own conclusions about, like, socialism, whatever, but I was like, how did I get those conclusions? I had to watch and see and read other people make the cases for me, and other people showcase the data, showcase everything, and I had to come to those conclusions some capacity. Whenever I think of an artistic thing, it derives from previous stories that I've seen and told in the past. Like my fucking 2024 fucking 5-year anniversary special literally is derivative of the fucking online reviewer story arcs of the past. And when I think of ideas that I'll never get to make, they are derivative from other ideas and story concepts from the past, either directly being inspired by or having some slight hints of inspiration. We see this all the time. Sometimes people will be like, oh yeah, this is just kind of blatantly borrowing elements from the previous thing. A lot of things do that for the entertainment industry, online and off. PewDiePie became popular, Game Grumps became popular, all of a sudden everybody was a Let's Player. AVGN became popular, all of a sudden you got JonTron, you got the Area Gamer, you got the Game Dude, you got the Nostalgia Critic, who then inspired a bunch of people in his own right. Disney adapted public domain fairy tales very prominent, and were able to make stories so compelling that they basically eclipse the originals. To an extent, the originals of some of those stories don't exist. Nobody has heard of the Ice Queen. Significantly more people have heard of Frozen. There's very few people that will think of Ariel and then not think of the fucking Disney movie. Literally, when I understand that Ariel's from another story, but I do not see Ariel or think of Ariel and think that. I think of the Disney movie. Snow White, Cinderella, those ones have enough staying power in the original stories, but in other cases, again, Frozen and with The Little Mermaid, they've essentially eclipsed the previous versions. One of the biggest science fiction space opera franchises, Star Wars, takes heavy inspiration from things like The Lord of the Rings, Akira Kurosawa films, Flash Gordon, a lot of other things in the past. It took a lot of inspiration from that. Now, it serves as the base work for a lot of other people's inspiration. Literally, when South Park became around, you know what happened? All of a sudden, everybody had tiny little kid characters saying fuck, piss, shit, cunt. And then when Shrek came out, all of a sudden everybody was doing a subversive fairy tale. Coke came out, you got Pepsi and all the other Coke brands. Every single soda brand is derivative from each other. Fact. Mountain Dew came out, well, Coke's got to do something to try and stop it. Let's make Surge. Dr. Pepper came out, well, Coke's got to have their own version of it. Mr. Pibb. Coke's got Fanta. We got Sunkist. You got Sprite. Starry. The most popular video game franchise, Super Mario, was inspired by Popeye and King Kong. Now, a lot of games use Mario as an inspiration. Literally, the reason why Mario exists is because Nintendo was going to make a licensed game about Popeye that didn't come out, and then they just decided, hey, let's slap our own original characters on the original concept. One of the most popular comic book characters right now in the modern day, Deadpool, is a blatant ripoff of Deathstroke from DC. And that's not even getting into Marvel ripping off Superman to make Sentry, or DC ripping off Namor to make Aquaman, or Marvel ripping off Doom Patrol to make X-Men, or DC ripping off Man-Thing to make Swamp Thing, or Marvel ripping off Green Lantern with Nova, or Fawcett Comics ripping off Superman to make Captain Marvel, or Marvel ripping off Fawcett/DC to make their own Captain Marvel, or DC ripping off Captain America with Commander Steel, or Marvel ripping off Darkseid with Thanos, or DC deciding to rip off Deadpool and make Red Tool. And there are a ton more examples I can list in the comic industry alone. What happened with all those things? They read, they wrote. To some, their derivativeness is obvious. To others, it doesn't exist. There are a lot of people who would literally be like, wait, what? When you say Deadpool was ripped off from Deathstroke, you'd be like, huh? Because the characters are so vastly different now. Literally, remix culture is very vital to the maintaining of new ideas. Again, nothing is 100% original. What usually will happen is you'll take a story that's already been done a million times over, and come up with a new way to tell it. Remix a certain aspect of the story, change certain things, take a character that you saw and hey, this character's kind of cool. I want to make something like that. Imagine if at any point of any of the examples I just listed, imagine if any of the people looked at that and went, that's a little bit too close to what we have. We're going to sue you, and we're going to make that character non-existent. Which we know happened. Universal tried to sue Nintendo for using Donkey Kong, even though they literally were, Donkey Kong was public domain by that point. And DC literally sued Captain Marvel out of existence before they decided to buy him years later. And, like imagine if it was successful. Imagine if, like, in an alternate world where Mario just did not exist, what we would have now in the gaming industry would be so radically different. But you might think, well, I mean, it didn't happen, so that's proof that the copyright system is good. And it's like, really? There are examples I'm going to list in the Thursday video that are going to be, I'm hyping it up a little too much, I think. But, like, there are some examples I'm going to say, it's like, really, it could have gone way worse. Like, it's a similar thing where people, like I said, I put it in the piracy video, where it was like, where it's like, well, I mean, yeah, but, like, I brought an example, like, hey, have you ever seen a movie that you wanted to watch later? Like, have you ever recorded a movie that you want to watch later? Did you call the copyright holder before, say, like, hey, I'm going to record your work, is that cool? Then before you go into comment section, be like, but that's different. The only reason why it's different, because there's a fucking Supreme Court case that literally determined, yeah, that's different. I view copyright in a similar sense. We only view this restriction because that's what exists, not because it's what it should be. And copyright holders, I don't really trust them to do things faithfully. Remember, the copyright holders told us that they owned the birthday song. The copyright holders were the ones that tried to kill the internet with SOPA. Artists didn't do that because they're not fighting for this. They don't care. They're probably getting diddly squat. Artists are getting fucked over for this, which I'll use to get into my next point, because, like, I'm gonna have to address some criticisms that you guys will have. I'm gonna give some criticism. Like, some of you guys have been critical. I'm sure a lot of you would probably be a bit more critical of the idea, but I'll be very blunt. You're wrong. I'll be very blunt. You're wrong. And then we get into some of the criticisms that I've gotten. Well, only one person was able to actually explain the criticisms directly, so I'm using them as a template. But these are a lot of the same criticisms, we hear before, whatever. Artists deserve compensation for their work. It's kind of weirdly implying that my system won't compensate them for their work, and also implying that they're, like, fairly compensated now. Like, Thursday, you'll get into some examples, but the way the copyright system is as of now, a lot of people are not getting compensated. A lot of people are getting fucked over directly because of the copyright system that exists. And that's one thing I don't know if I acknowledge it in the video or not, but it's because, like, I guess that's more relevant to the next point. But it's like, with Creative Commons, they would get compensated. They'd own some rights to their work, which I would assume includes the rights to monetize it. If they want. Also, I can't help but notice I can't help but notice this. I'm sure a lot of you would probably agree with that sentiment, artists deserve to be compensated for their work. Well, I see only 3 fucking patrons on my Patreon, so, clearly you guys are okay with not letting artists be compensated for their work to some extent. Also, I just want to say the idea that they do it for the money is laughable to me. There's literally a stereotype of the starving artist. Artists make art even when they have shitty lives. When they start to do it for the money, we call them corporate shills. If money was the factor, I would have fucking quit and been done years ago. And this next one is a little bit weird on 2 levels. The point they make being, artists deserve to own their work. There are 2 things we could say about that. 1, then why are you in favor of copyright as it exists now? Because under the copyright system we have now, a lot of artists don't own their work. Steven Hillenburg does not own SpongeBob. Well, he's dead, but he did not own SpongeBob. Nickelodeon did. Maxwell Adams does not own Billy and Mandy. Alex Hirsch does not own Gravity Falls. Unless they do, unless there's, like, a clause in their contract that explicitly states they do, but, they don't own the work. They don't, every time Alex Hirsch makes a funny meme about, haha, Ford and Bill are kissing. Every time he draws that, he's liable for a copyright infringement lawsuit. In order to make a lot of people, they don't own their fucking work. They don't own it. They don't own it. And that's because the current copyright system makes it so that they have to give away their rights in order for their works to actually be able to be made. So, in that sense, you're not really fighting for artists' ownership. By defending the copyright system, you're not defending artists. You're not defending artists. That's the thing that's really confusing me. It's like, they think, them defending copyright is, defending artists in some capacity. It's like, no, it's not. the corporations are the ones who control the copyrights. And also, define ownership. Because depending on your definition of ownership, I might not 100% agree with that. Like, and I'm going to use an example that is very recent that a lot of you guys remember. Remember like a year or two ago, or however long ago it was, I don't remember how long ago it was, when people started posting like the fucking like monkey NFTs and we're like, it's my NFT, I own it. And everybody started like Control-C, Control-V and like, look, it's mine now. That's what I kind of see it as. Like, dude, it's an MP4 file. Like I mean, guys, if you want to be real, I don't own my work. Literally, I deleted the fucking original files of like a lot of my original videos. A lot of the stuff that I have now is a copy. Actually, scratch that. For flash drives, they're exclusively copies. They're just copies. So it's like, how can you own a thing that is as abstract as a thing like an MP4? How can you own that? And I'm also a socialist. Again, I don't agree with the concept of the ownership of private property. I don't agree with that concept. And the thing is, a lot of people actually agree with sort of the concept like that the art, that the creators don't own it. Like the creators and the corporations, they don't own this like art. They don't own it. The ownership, like a lot of people make the claim that the ownership really goes to the fans. The fans are the reason why. Like without the fans, you wouldn't have a job. You would be unemployed. You'd be homeless. Kind of comes off as like entitlement, if you ask me. If you want to be technical, you still own the work under Creative Commons. You own it as much as you can own things like MP4s or MP3s, but without all the unnecessary bullshit that comes with a copyright like claim. I sort of view it as the same reason why people argue in favor of capitalism. Like literally, it's just like, it's like you really are just like, but if you make a popular IP and then it starts making money, then clearly, then you're gonna want to like have all the rights to it and your restrictions about it, whatever. It's like the same way. It's like, yeah, but like if you were able to like make a good capital, you're able to like be good in capitalism or whatever. It's like, yeah, maybe, but is that good? Is that benefiting society? Doesn't the guy who built his business deserve to be compensated for the work he put in? Yeah, but not at the expense of other people. And the copyright system, in the copyright case, it wouldn't necessarily be a person that gets fucked over. Well, kind of, like, small artists, if they want to use my intellectual property, that's mine, my work. You'll be hearing from my lawyers. The idea of free culture and free information is just lost if I, like, put an unnecessary red tape that I don't need to. Like, sure, maybe if I was able to make a very popular IP and, like, made it so that every single right went to me and I was able to rake in all the money behind it, maybe things would go great for me. But that's not really good for free culture, for free analysis, for free information. I don't think money or monetary value should be what drives creativity. I think those should be driven by passion, not profit. Like, I mean, need more proof for that? Take a look at the modern day entertainment industry, which many people argue is way too focused on money. Are we happy with the current entertainment industry? Are you guys happy that a lot of people literally say that Star Wars is no longer a cultural phenomenon? Because Disney prioritized money over making actually interesting stories? Well, I mean, they have made interesting stories, but I don't think it was really Disney's idea to make interesting ideas. Excited for season 2 of Andor, baby. I see us at the point where we need to move forward as a society, where we have unnecessary restrictions that are holding us back. There are multiple things about this in the entertainment industry. One big thing about the entertainment industry is like it's one of the things is like with the copyright, with intellectual IP, it's kind of like stuff with it. We have all these IPs and they're like strangleheld. It's to be like, we need to be regurgitating these same things over and over and over again because we control it. We own it. We need to like make sure that people know we own it and it's ours and we make money off of it. Know an easy way to stop that? Let those IPs go. Let them be free for anybody to make anything out of. I view copyright as a thing that the entertainment industry is pushing onto us to keep us down, to force things to not advance to the future. Much in the same way how the entertainment industry still hangs on to fucking films and theaters. Literally, I was so happy during the COVID pandemic when it was literally just like, maybe we're at the point where theaters are fucking gone, because we're at the point where it is not needed to be a theater film anymore. It'll make, and it will help, because it'll help like works that were already on streaming services for free prosper. I mean, not for free, but like things that were already on streaming services prosper. By doing this, it's great. But no, it's like, well, back we go. Like once COVID ended, it was like, back to theaters we go. It's like, why? Why would you do this? You were succeeding when you were putting it on your streaming apps, and you're just like, well, back we go. The only reason why you're not looking into it deeper is because you're scared. A world with a copyright system as it exists is the only world you've known, much in the same way capitalism is the only world you've known. So you're afraid of something new. And a lot of that is really why I find it so odd that there are any leftists that just talk about this. Even though I've seen a lot of lefties just generally just agree with the concept of like, oh, well, yeah, copyright reform is good, copyright reform is good, copyright reform is good. It's like, why are you guys not really into this idea? I don't get it. There are even ones who allegedly agree with everything that I said, or at least a majority of the concept or the idea of things I've said, that don't agree 100% or like at least practice what they preach. I'll name drop them, I don't care. Second Thought made a video called Why We Need to Abolish Intellectual Property. Like, he just blatantly said it. And I watched his video. I mean, I already had my ideas, but I watched his video just to get like an idea. Like maybe he said something I'm missing. And, well, yes, he kind of he doesn't really focus a lot on the copyright stuff, which is like, okay, that's fine. He focused more on like patents and trademarks, but he did mention copyright every so often. But I was like, okay, scroll down, and I saw that his video was under the standard YouTube license, not a Creative Commons. I actually did that before I watched his video, and I was about to comment, like, I was about to put a snide comment and be like, says we need to abolish intellectual property, but doesn't have his video under Creative Commons. But then I'm like, no, hold on. Maybe his video isn't like, maybe that's just like a clickbait title. He doesn't actually mean that, and like he wants to like do something else. Then I rush his video, it's like, no, he just actually wants to get rid of intellectual property. And it's just like, then why is your video not even at the fucking least Creative Commons? I even decided to do a little experiment. I literally just decided to go on YouTube, search the word socialism, and then I click the bar, and you can actually check, and you can actually click a button that makes it so that only Creative Commons videos show up. And I clicked it, and I saw something interesting. All the Creative Commons videos about socialism were right-wing nonsense. Why is literally the thing that I think is literally more intrinsically linked with left-wing ideas, like being absorbed by right-wing nonsense creators? Why? Like, why? I don't get it. But also, here's the thing. Creative Commons videos are easier to share because they have less copyright restrictions. You ever wonder why left-wing videos are not as popular as right-wing ones? Could that be a reason why? Nah, I'm probably looking too deep into it. I find it weird that just a lot of lefties just don't make Creative Commons videos, because I literally feel like Creative Commons videos is just like intrinsically linked with left-wing values. Although granted, I also think that being intrinsically linked to left-wing values includes not putting ads on your video, so maybe I'm just a little kooky crazy. But, you know, let's get into this part. What's my actual plan? Like, if I were to be the one in charge of how the copyright system was, how would I change it? Well, first of all, it wouldn't be copyright, it'd be copyleft. But second of all, like, if I were to put it into words, I'd put it as follows. Okay, everything that is created by a private individual should be made under a Creative Commons attribution share-alike license. And it will be there for their lifetime or until they relinquish it. Afterwards, CCO. Now, I know some people might be going in the comment section and be like, hey, wait, hold on, but I proposed this, only this length, so clearly I'm better than you in that regard. No, because the Creative Commons work, like, literally removes certain restrictions, so you're already basically halfway there to public domain. Or, I mean, maybe not halfway there, maybe like a quarter of the way there. Like, you're enough of the way there that you're like, it's noticeable that your work has less restrictions than, you know, a copyrighted work. So that's why a copyrighted material has like had traditionally shorter lifespans in that regard, because you would be like, that's why a lot of the copyright reform suggests like like lower years like that. With a Creative Commons, it would be that you would have less of the red tape, so there would be more of a actual explanation of like having your work be lifetime, because you can do the share alike, you can do remix, derivative works, stuff that traditionally you'd have to wait until the public domain happened for it to go. And public domain works didn't go immediately. Like, I literally, in my opinion, it should be Steven Hillenburg, when they do Time of Death, immediately SpongeBob should enter the public domain. That's what I'm gonna do. When I inevitably remake my fucking, like, death announcement video that I won't be doing yet. I'm probably gonna wait a while to remake that just to avoid another embarrassment. But when I do that, I'm actually gonna say it in the video, just point blank say, since I'm dead, all of my stuff is in the public domain now. I'd relinquish it because I have no need for it. I'm dead. It's not gonna matter what happens next. But what about your kids? I hear some of you copyright defenders might be saying, shouldn't your kids be, because that's what copyright used to do. It's like, it would be your death, and then you'd keep it for like 30 or 50, 70 more years, depending on whenever the fucking copyright thing is. But first of all, I ain't having no kids. Fuck that. And second, if I do, I never want them to be in the shadow of me. I hate that for some parents, making your kids to continue your legacy. My legacy is mine. My hypothetical children would have to build their own legacy. I'm not forcing them to maintain mine for whatever fucking gain they need. 2, no more corporate ownership of works. No. Either you credit the original artist with that work, or it's a worker co-op Creative Commons, which would have a time limit, which I really don't know how long it would be. It would probably be easier for people to just give it to the original creator, but whatever. But the broad point is you ban corporate ownership of all the works. But wait, I hear you ask, what about all the corporate owned works where the original creator is dead now and you can't give them like the Creative Commons thing to? What happens to them now? You know what happens. Public domain day that year would be insane. This rule would be a bit more, this one I'm going to say is a bit more kind of focused on like the current day system we have. Let's say you're working with a business to make something and then they say no. Well, I think if you were working with a studio to make something and then they say that they don't want to do it anymore and whatever, I think what should happen next is all the Creative Commons rights revert back to you, the original creator. Like, I don't believe in the bullshit of like, oh, we're going to work on an idea, and then now we're not going to work on that idea anymore, so we're just going to keep the idea for us, and then you're just going to not be allowed to do that anymore. And with that, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. If you go, I want to make this independent, then congratulations. Make it independent. But if you choose, you know what, I'm not going to make this idea anymore. Once you do that, it immediately becomes public domain, and you have to post it. You have to post it. No more lost media. Fuck lost media. Lost media is in the public domain. If media companies will not allow for a re-release of their original, of those works, then they have no right and no bearing to take down any nonsense. Like if the My Friends and Me pilot, or whatever the fuck the Backyardigans original pilot used to be, Me and My Friends, that's what it's called. If that gets posted, I don't think Nickelodeon should have any fucking right to take that down. When Sesame Street tried to take down that fucking, like, Wicked Witch of the West episode, and, like, the public broadcasting people were like, hey, well, you can't do that. When they tried to do that, it's like, fuck you. You weren't going to release it, so why the fuck should you tell me if I can and can't do it? Everything of historical or political value should be a CCO public domain. Congressional portraits, political speeches, debates, ads, every single photo that was taken inside of the Congress or, like, government buildings, everything like that. Some of it's already in the public domain, and I'll be real, some of it isn't. We'll get into a little bit about that on Thursday, because there's a particular gripe that I have, but there's one thing that is a gripe that I can't get into here. My opinion, presidential debates should all be public domain. Every single presidential debate that has been made in history should be public domain. Like, literally. The one that's released in 2028, public domain immediately. I literally think that the fact that ABC is literally going to copyright claim someone who does a reaction to the fucking presidential debate is insane. That's the leader of the goddamn United States. That should be public domain for anybody to post, criticize, commentate, whatever, Why is that under lock and key? All scientific work should be public domain. That's just kind of one. I didn't write that down, but I was like, yeah, with the Aaron Swartz thing I said before, 100%. All science work should be public domain, obviously. One that is actually very interesting is this thing, because like this is the thing that it's like with YouTube's automated system, you can kind of tell that it's not really doing well for original creators. This one is one that is a shout out to specifically individual creators. YouTube has a feature now where if you post a movie, video game, like if you have a video game, movie, or whatever that you use footage of or whatever that appears in your video, you can actually, like, it can automatically link the song or whatever there. Like, when you go to my fucking, like, Screw Up video series, the Weird Al Yankovic song, Everything You Know Is Wrong, is usually listed in the description automatically. My viewpoint is, why is that not automatic for YouTube videos? So, like, if you make a YouTube response video, why is that not, like, I mean, like, the original video is linked here, or the original derivative work, whatever. Like, when Hassan stole my video, why wasn't it automatically be like, this video, YouTube has more videos on its fucking, like, database, why can't it be like, a beep boop, Pluribus Unum, his video was used in this Hassan Piker video, so we're gonna link the original video and / or the channel that the original video came. Dude, that would be so fucking easy. I would love that. I would absolutely love for YouTube to automatically do that. So it would save me the problem of like having to credit them. Directly link me on Hassan's channel for stealing my content. That way, people will be more inclined to sub to me. This one kind of expands upon the like intellectual property in general, but like, you know what? I'm at the point where I'm just like, yeah, maybe patents should probably go bye-bye. Like very restricted patents that definitely like restrict freedom and information and like medicine, probably should get rid of those. Now, this one is actually phrased in the form of a question. With all this system in place, how would this system punish things like piracy? I mean, if we want to be really, really technical, in my ideal world, there would be no need for piracy because every single piece of media that has been made in the history of the world will be readily available on a streaming service. I mean, I'm being serious. I saw someone post I saw Populum's update say something along the lines of like jokingly post nationalized to people like, dude, I'm honestly in favor of literally, if I were president of the United States, I would literally be like, guys, we are making a streaming service. It's gonna have everything on it. It's gonna be paid for by tax dollars, and you're gonna have access to literally every single piece of information, where you can then use the footage in a Creative Commons way. I think the only other streaming service that would be around would probably be YouTube, because that's where the independent creators would go. And I mean, to start off, it wouldn't be the only streaming service. It would probably be introduced as a quote-unquote competitor to all the other streaming services, but, eventually those ones would get weeded out. Because, people actually like the idea of a nationalized streaming service because that's what Netflix used to be. Netflix used to be a streaming service where everything was on it. And now, literally every single company has their own streaming service. We're back to square fucking one. Like, we were at the point where, we were beyond the need of buying, TV packages of all these bullshit channels that we don't give a shit about to get, the one or two good channels that we like. Now, we used to be at the point where it's Netflix, it has everything, and we can just pick the movies we want to watch. But now, it's oh, if I want to watch The Mandalorian, I gotta buy Disney+, but if I also want to watch SpongeBob, I gotta buy Paramount+, and I also want to watch South Park, so I can't, but it's on Paramount+, right? No, it's only on this part of South Park is on Paramount+. You have to buy HBO Max if you want to see the full series of South Park. It's bullshit, and I think there should just be one. Back to one. Streaming service one. I would be king of the world if that would happen. Speaking of the world, I would want for there to be a worldwide thing. Copyright is extremely decentralized. While there are many international copyright treaties, they are both not universal, nor do they really do much. This is the hardest thing that we'll do, that's why I put it on the bottom, but, ideally, I'd like to see that to be the case, especially with the rise of the internet. It's we're really at the point where it's there really is a big restriction. There's some countries that are extremely strict on copyright laws, but then you have access to fucking YouTube where copyright infringement roams free. But those are long-term ideas. What can you do in the short term? Well, for starters, I recommend going to your YouTube channel if you're a left-wing creator or want to be a left-wing creator, and clicking the button, scroll in the description or in the settings, and there's a thing. It'll say standard YouTube license. Click it, click Creative Commons. Either make all your videos retroactively Creative Commons, or from here on out make them Creative Commons. Whatever. Do that. Also, try to use sources that are Creative Commons or even to the point, or even public domain. Like, I mean, I actually, when I was looking into Creative Commons, I saw like works made with Creative Commons or sites created with Creative Commons, and I like started going to them and like, oh wait, this is actually like really, really useful. Like, I mean, there's a website called freesound.org, and it's a great place to get completely royalty-free sound effects by people on the community. And in fact, if you look on the site, you can actually see who downloads the sound effects. And if you're lucky, you might see little old me, because I set up an account there where I'm gonna start start downloading effects from there, like sound effects from there. Because even though it hasn't happened yet, I've used a lot of sound effects that I don't own the legal right to. And even though it hasn't happened yet, maybe someone who sees that sound effect will go like, and then try to get me down. There's the Free Music Archive, which might be a useful tool that I have bookmarked just in case I need it. If you want to use like stock footage, or not stock footage, but like music or whatever, that could be useful for that. There's, of course, the OG when it comes to royalty-free Creative Commons music, Incompetech, Kevin MacLeod. Shout out to the G. A site that I used before I got really into Creative Commons was Vidizi, for when I made the fucking, like, YouTube, like, when I made the internet documentary. It's a pretty good site that gives you, like, stock footage, and as far as I've seen, I haven't seen any major issues of copyright infringement. Like, I've tried to make sure, like, like, it's not, like, I mean, I literally looked up, like, Vidizi bad or Vidizi sucks to see if there's any, like, problems with it. Or just Vidizi on YouTube, just to see, like, is there any problems with it? No, I've seen, like, people, like, openly, I've seen, like, big channels recommend it, so it's like, well, I mean, if they say it, it must be true. But the most difficult task of them all is the fact that I'm trying to use Wikimedia for pictures for my videos. Because in the past, as with sound effects, or sometimes music, sometimes clips, I haven't necessarily been checking every single picture that I've used in every single video to make sure that everything is copyrightable. Because in my opinion, the notion that you can copyright a fucking picture is stupid as shit. And there are a lot of pictures that I've used that haven't been necessarily the best. And as Tom Scott pointed out in his video that he made, it's like, it's not like they're going to, like, it's not like a guarantee, like, because even if I was, like, even if they noticed I'm like small potatoes, it's not really gonna matter that much. But I will try to be more mindful about it in the future. I have Wikimedia Commons bookmarked, so I can go to Wikimedia and use the pictures on that site. I tried to start with the Ujamaa video, but it was really difficult. That's the problem. Sometimes it's just difficult to use only exclusively like public domain or Creative Commons pictures. It's hard. Why is it so hard? That's why I think we need to push harder for this to become more mainstream. It'll make this easier for everybody involved. So anyways, that's pretty much all I gotta say on the issue of like copyleft and like my broader analysis of like the copyright movement and my views on it. Come back this Thursday where I'll hopefully be able to show you why copyright is worthless. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell to notify when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, consider supporting me on Patreon.